I'm Gary Neptune, and I'm here working on my mountaineering and ski museum. And as you can see, I've got everything from a timeline of mountain climbing hardware to skis to polar things, and of course the high peaks like Mount Everest. This is a pair of boots, or this is a boot, from Hillary's Everest expedition, and a pair of Gravel crampons that went with it. And believe it or not, the insulation used in this was possum fur. It was considered to be the warmest fur you could have got at the time. One of the more infamous, I guess, expeditions ever was the 1939 K2 expedition. A number of people died, kind of tragic stories and blame going left and right and up and down. But eventually these artifacts have melted out of the glacier down below and they've come off the mountains. This is some hardware from the first ascent of the north face of the Eiger that Andrew Heckmeyer gave me when he came over to visit in 1987. He had his 81st birthday here, and my wife and I stayed with him a few times after that, and he lived into his late 90s. He had not seen this newspaper clipping that I sent him a copy of, where the newspaper reports these climbers lost in a storm on the Eiger, and the next day they got down, they had succeeded, and so it's the two clippings in sequence like that. Quite a story. In here is some of the oldest climbing hardware in the store from really before 1900. And most of the climbing was rather primitive, but people may wonder how you protected the leader, and for the most part you didn't, which is why the rule the leader must not fall. But that's not 100% correct. They were beginning to experiment with how you would protect the leader. If you look closely here, you'll see the rope draped over this hook. And that's a hook like this. Those were called Mauerhaken wall hooks, which they would use, for instance, in a barn, drive it in the wall and hang your horse's harness on there. But in fact, you could drape a rope over it and maybe it would actually catch a falling climber. Pretty primitive and bold, but it had to start somewhere. Now this down suit, as you notice, is very thin by modern standards. This was the down suit that Peter Hobbler wore on the first ascent of Everest with no bottled oxygen. You can see the picture of him headed toward the summit. Messner took that picture, and Peter was the actual first up there. People are welcome to come in anytime while this is being put together, talk to me about it, and eventually I'll have a handout for them that'll cover a lot of climbing and ski history. And it's free. It's here in Neptune Mountaineering. We have our shows here almost every week, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So come see me.